Welcome back to Red Devils Talk. Good day, everyone. Me, your host, Session. And of course, we only talk Manchester United news. And it's been a while since I've spoken to you guys here on YouTube. And there are various reasons for that. But to put it all in a nutshell, it's life. We had equipment breaking, we had a bit of life issues getting in the way. But we're here, we're back now, and it is the end of the season. We've had a very good Premier League season. We do have the FA Cup final coming on Saturday against Manchester City, and we'll speak about that later on in the video and later on in the week. Right now, we'll be speaking about the review to our 2-1 win against Fulham, our last game at Old Trafford that we had a couple days ago. We'll speak about the latest news, the transfer news, and of course, about the takeover and much more. Stick with me and of course, subscribe to the channel if you like the content and if you want to continue being part of Red Devils Talk community. So, Fulham, a 2-1 comeback and not a very good performance in terms of being absolutely deadly and clinical and dominating the game, but we did what we needed to do, and that was get the result to secure third place. We got Champions League against Chelsea already, and we then could see that changes were going to be made. Ten Hag was going to rotate, and he did rotate, but not that much, with the likes of Casemiro, Rashford, Bruno, etc. all starting. And the way the game started, we seemed to have control. But again, there wasn't that much motivation to go and get the win because all we needed was a good result. And with Newcastle at the time losing, it gave us a bit more, less pressure, shall I say. Not more, less pressure in order to take our time, spray the ball around the park, and ensure that we eventually get the win. Now, the way their goal came was a bit confusing. I mean, it was a corner, a header from Tete at the near post goes in, completely out jumps Rashford. And you think at that moment, are we going to go to fourth place? What is going on? But you also remain calm because you've already qualified for the Champions League. So there isn't any sense of panic in that moment. And with the likes of Bruno, etc., being on the pitch, you expected us to come back and get a good result, and we got the win in the end. Mitrovic missing a penalty, De Gea with the golden glove seals that with a penalty save. And this will give him confidence for the FA Cup final. That is a positive. And that leaves us with a bit of more confidence ahead of that big final against City. So it is not to say that we will lose against City. I mean, I have confidence that we can get a result in the FA Cup final, that being a win, or pushing them to penalties if we need to do that. But on the Fulham game itself, we could see that there was a bit of motivation. There was a bit of impetus by certain players to push for a place in the FA Cup final squad. Now, of course, we did want the likes of Rashford to score to make it 31. We did perhaps want the likes of Vegas to score. I mean, the chance that he had at the end of the game, we really wanted him to score. I mean, everybody feels for him. But he simply, from what we can see, isn't good enough for Manchester United. That does leave us with a question. And the question is simply going to be answered in the transfer window. We do need more than one striker. Martial being up for sale is also a reason why we need two strikers coming into the club. So on the season as a whole, in the very beginning with our losses to Brighton and Brentford respectively, it did seem like it was going to be another tough season and that the players, the ones that completely threw Ragnick and Ole under the bus last season, we thought that they were going to do the exact same thing to Ten Hag. But Ten Hag showed his credentials, and I think he has been very, very underrated this season with how he has progressed with the team. And with certain players, they've turned over a new leaf, they've become better players and have more room for improvement. The likes of Rashford, the likes of Sancho, who now, close to the end of the season, is actually starting to perform the way he did at the beginning. He had a shaky, shall I say, few months within the season, but in the long term, it seems like there is a positive outcome and he is performing and starting to perform the way we expect him to perform. And hopefully he pulls a performance in the City game. Hopefully we actually have him doing well against City. And we would need a good performance by all our big players to definitely win City, let alone stand a chance. So with Ten Hag doing his work on the likes of Rashford, Sancho, Wan-Bissaka, who was completely forgotten and ignored by so many fans of our club that wanted him gone because he couldn't attack. And right now, he's the number one right back. And there's talks of him staying. And Delo, who we thought was going to be Ten Hag's number one right back for the season, had an injury and simply came back and cannot get into the team. And that is testament to Wan-Bissaka, but also testament to Ten Hag's coaching and the way he improves players. The likes of Victor Lindelof has vastly improved from what he was alongside Maguire last season for Ole and under Ragnick. We see how he performs against other teams, big teams, with the likes of Shaw next to him even. And Shaw is a left back who also improved and showed his quality at centre back, but this is because of Ten Hag. This is because of the way he is detailed in his coaching and the way he does want to improve players and make them play at their absolute best. That is the only thing that makes sense. But yet, there are other coaches who've done well this season with the likes of Eddie Howe, Arteta, of course, nearly winning the league. But Ten Hag, from where we came as a club, last season having the worst points tally in a Premier League season ever since the club has been inaugurated, to take us to third place, 75 points, 8 points clear of fifth place. We did lose a few heavy games. You look at the 6-3, the 4-0 against Brentford, the 7-0 against Liverpool, but we still managed to achieve our goal in the Premier League, which was to get Champions League. And we did it, not shall I say in style, but we did it in a professional manner. I remember every time we lost the game, the very next game, we bounced back. It wasn't a free fall of bad results. It was simply getting back to business, getting back to basics, and executing the plan that Ten Hag wanted. And yes, in certain games, he did make mistakes. He did make the wrong substitutions. He did have the wrong team selections. But he was successful in his long-term plan. And even though he had his hands tied behind his back in the January window, with the likes of Cody Gakpo going to Liverpool and we getting Weghorst, we simply did not have money and the Glazers did not want to help him at all. Yet he still achieved his goal. Therefore, he must be backed in the summer. He must be backed in this transfer window that is coming in order for us to progress further and start competing at the top. And we have beaten all Big Six teams this season because of Ten Hag's tactics, because of the way he motivates and gives these players the energy and the fighting spirit to go and win and get a result. The likes of Casemiro being on the pitch, Varane, Martinez are all influential. Bruno being the captain, even though he's not the club captain right yet. But when he's on the pitch, we play much better. When he doesn't play, we don't have any connection in the attack. There is no tempo in our attacking play, and we don't have anyone to spray those passes that can break the lines. With Eriksen on the field without Bruno, there's no connection, and vice versa. So the likes of Maguire should leave the club. I think he's had his time, and there are many other players who are going to leave. But I want to move on, and this is just basically how I started looking at the season, thinking that yes, Ten Hag is underrated and that he should get more recognition for the work that he has done this season. And with the chance to win another trophy and stop City from emulating the treble potentially, that definitely will be a fantastic season for Ten Hag and these players. So I want to now move along into the FA Cup final itself. And I don't want to do a preview on it. I want us just to take a few moments to look at the potential prospects but also disadvantages of this final. The main disadvantage, of course, is with them winning us, it being the first ever Manchester derby in a FA Cup final, and them being the second trophy that they would pick up on a potential run to a treble, with the Champions League final being next week. It would be a tough pill to swallow for the next 2 months before the Premier League and season starts again. And it will be a very, very gloomy mood at Old Trafford should that happen. But with the rallying war cry that Ten Hag gave after the Fulham game, it gave everyone confidence that we can go and win City, and that will be the goal. And yes, Ten Hag was asked, what is the aim? How does he feel with potentially stopping City, getting this potential treble? He said that yes, that is the case. He knows the pressure and the way the fans feel about it. But the main thing is to go and win the game, to get another trophy for the team for this season. That is the importance. And we have beaten them this season. Yes, we lost 6-3 at the Etihad, but we won 2-1 at Old Trafford. And that was without the likes of Varane in the team. We had Lindelof and Shaw doing excellently well against De Bruyne, against Haaland, against Foden, Grealish, etc. And that does give our players confidence that at Wembley, in a once-off, in a final, where everything is under pressure on terms of City, we definitely can win City. I believe this. But we'll speak more on the FA Cup final as the week and the game gets closer. So, if you stayed this far into the video, I do want to first of all thank you. But now we'll speak about the news, the latest news that has come out. And firstly, on the takeover, in my opinion, it's kind of if I have to say that, it's crap. It's a circus show. It's literally nobody knows what's going on. The one day Sir Jim is the main favorite. The next day it's Sheikh Hassim. The next day the Glazers want to wait to see what's happening. The next day the Glazers were meeting up with Sheikh Hassim at the hotel that his father owns, etc. So many different stories from so many different outlets, but nothing concrete about who the preferred bidder is and who the actual owner potentially might be. Now that does leave you with a concern, because it will impact Ten Hag's transfer window. And as I said, he needs to be backed in this window. He does need to get the players in that he wants, and the players of actual quality to make us progress further, to have a stronger squad and a better team to compete against the bigger teams. And we are in the Champions League, so we will be playing against much stronger opposition than we did in the Europa League. So with the takeover and the Glazers taking so long to make a decision, it will impact Ten Hag negatively on the transfer window and might delay us in wanting to get certain players, and would leave us missing out on certain players if they simply cannot get their ducks in a row. But in terms of the transfer window, it has been reported by Simon Jones of the Daily Mail that United are looking for a 100 million striker. Of course, Harry Kane is Ten Hag's number one target. Everybody knows this. But Daniel Levy has said to be very difficult and doesn't want to sell Harry Kane at any cost. But Simon Jones does say that if we do not get Harry Kane, we will move on to other potential targets. The likes of Osimhen, in my opinion, would be too much, as Napoli are quoting 150 million euros for him. And on the other hand, the likes of Rasmus Højlund is too young, in my opinion, to come in and be a number one striker. He should be someone that we buy with another world-class, top-class striker. And if we don't get Kane or Osimhen, Gonzalo Ramos would probably be the next option if Benfica doesn't give or quote us a large amount. And that seems to be the problem with every club that seems to know and hear that United is in for the player that they have. The price doubles, it triples even with regards to certain clubs. And that is sad and that is difficult, and therefore that is why the transfer window can be negatively impacted by Ten Hag, because of the lack of investment and the lack of decision making of the Glazers. Moving along to the talks of Mason Mount that apparently is intensifying between us and Mason Mount, as he does want to leave. He's said to be emotional in his last game for Chelsea over the weekend, and that gives you an indication that he does want to come to Manchester United. He said that he favours the move to Manchester United, and with him being best friends with Declan Rice, Ten Hag is said to have wanted Rice as well as a double combination, as we do need another defensive-minded midfielder as an upgrade on McTominay and Fred. And Mount would definitely be competition for Eriksen in the number 8 position, as Ten Hag wants to play two number 8s, and of course Casemiro being in the defensive midfield position, and thus allowing us to be more dominant on the ball in the attacking third, and allow us to play out from the back even better for next season. My opinion on Mason Mount would be that he's decent enough. I think he can improve under Ten Hag and has much to improve. I think he's still young and has lots of potential in a team that can and wants to compete at the highest level and will give Eriksen competition. And I think with Ten Hag being the coach that he is and with the way he improves players, Mason Mount can be a dangerous prospect for us in the team. However, you have to look at the other side where he basically didn't play that much for Chelsea this season and couldn't agree to a new contract. Now, whether that is because of the turmoils off the pitch with the different coaches coming in and leaving, with the various players coming in and allowing him to compete even more for his place, that could be a reason why he wants to leave. And Ten Hag might see an opportunity, and we have to trust Ten Hag in what he wants and the type of players that he wants. Whether it be a Mason Mount and a Declan Rice, as we know Declan Rice's qualities, we've seen it, it maybe can be better and improved, and I think will be improved under Ten Hag and in the team that he will play with. So it's not bad targets to have in terms of Mount and Declan Rice. I mean, McAllister is there as well, but of course it looks a lot like Liverpool might be getting him. And of course, on the other hand, you also look at another player. I just cannot seem to get to his name. It is Lavia from Southampton, sorry. With them being relegated, he's a cheaper option as a defensive player to come in to be an understudy to Casemiro. That would be a good option. But again, that begs to the question to wonder whether the board, whether the Glazers will actually make the attempt to back Ten Hag, considering they are lacking in terms of making a decision. Now, whether it be Sir Jim coming in or Sheikh Hassim, it will be interesting to see exactly what type of transfer strategy we will have. Would it be all-out spending, or would it be meticulous and buying players like we did previously for name, for status? It's going to be interesting to see the strategies of either owner and how they want to approach in their goal of taking Manchester United back to the top, as they both said. And lastly, it was also reported that Marco Silva, Fulham's manager, is wanting Fred in the summer, and Ten Hag is willing to cash in on him for a younger midfielder. Thus, the reason why we're looking at a Mount and a Declan Rice, two midfielders, not just one. I say Mount and Rice because they are the names that is being spoken of the most in the UK media with regards to who might be coming to United in terms of midfielders. So, lots to look out for. A crazy start to the transfer season, but our main focus, as Ten Hag said, with one game left, is the FA Cup final. Thank you guys for joining me. Leave any questions in the comments if you have any. I will definitely answer them as I can. And of course, join me on another video when we do. Click the bell so that you are notified exactly when I do upload videos. Subscribe to the channel, as I will always be talking about Manchester United and everything that it entails. Have a wonderful day till we speak again. Bye bye everyone.